petitioner 1 Reverend Dumbi states that the commissioners committed serious violations of the Constitution by A, demonstrating partiality and biased conduct in agreeing to the proposal to alter the results of the presidential elections in favor of one candidate, or in the alternative to force a runoff contrary to Article 10(7)(3)(2)(b), C, 75, 138, 232, and 249 of the Constitution, Sections 9, 26, and 30 of the IEBC Act, Sections 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 16, 24 of the Leadership and Integrity Act, and Sections 8, 9, 10, 12, 16, and 17 of the Public Officer Ethics Act. B, agreeing to the incentives and giving in to the proposal by the National Security Advisory Council, NSAC, to alter the result of the presidential elections contrary to Articles 10, 732BC, 75, 138, 232, 249 of the Constitution, Sections 9, 26, and 30 of the IEBC Act, Sections 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 16, 24 of the Leadership and Integrity Act, and Sections 8, 9, 10, 12, 16, and 17 of the Public Officer Ethics Act. C, disowning the results of the 2022 presidential elections in which the commissioners had participated in the verification and tallying, contrary to Articles 10, 73(2)(b), C, 75, 232, 249 of the Constitution, Section 9, 26, and 30 of the IEBC Act, Sections 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 16, and 24 of the Leadership and Integrity Act, and Sections 8, 9, 10, 12, 16, and 17 of the Public Officer Ethics Act. D, accepting the proposal to alter the results of the elections to subvert the will of the people of Kenya contrary to Articles 10, 73(2)(b)(c), 75, 232, 249 of the Constitution, Sections 9, 26, and 30 of the IEBC Act, Sections 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 16, and 24 of the Leadership and Integrity Act, and Sections 8, 9, 10, 12, 16, and 17 of the Public Officer Ethics Act. E, issuing press statements with close semblance with the press statements by Azimio la Umoja One Kenya presidential candidate, contrary to Articles 10, 732BC, 75, 232, and 249 of the Constitution, Sections 9, 26, and 30 of IEBC Act, and Sections 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 16, and 24 of the Leadership and Integrity Act, and Sections 8, 9, 10, 12, 16, and 17 of the Public Office and Ethics Act. F, failing to follow the well set out guidelines for the verification, tallying, and announcement of the presidential elections results contrary to Article 10, 732BC, 75, 232, and 249 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, Sections 9, 26, and 30 of the IEBC Act, and Sections 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 16, and 24 of the Leadership and Integrity Act, and Sections 8, 9, 10, 12, 16, and 17 of the Public Officer Ethics Act. Honorable members, Reverend Dumbi further states that the four commissioners grossly misconducted themselves by the Mental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs for consideration. The work of the committee is to guide the House by way of comprehensive B, be heard, C, cross-examine persons who give adverse evidence against him, D, request for an adjournment of the proceedings where necessary to ensure a fair hearing. 5. Nothing in this section shall have the effect of limiting the right of any person to appear or be represented by a legal representative in judicial or quasi-judicial proceedings. 6. Where the administrator is empowered by any written law to follow a procedure which conforms to the principles set out in Article 47 of the Constitution, the administrator may act in accordance with that different procedure. Honorable members, quasi-judicial proceedings for the removal from office of a member of a constitutional commission or of the hold of an independent office differ significantly from the exercise of the investigator powers of the House under Article 125 of the Constitution. Whereas the House or its committees may actively question witnesses to elicit evidence in an inquiry, Article 251(3) of the Constitution only requires the House to consider a petition and satisfy itself whether the petition discloses a ground for removal. Interrogation and confirmation of the allegations contained in the petition shall be the work of a tribunal appointed by the President for that purpose if a ground for removal is disclosed. Honorable members, in the light of the foregoing and previous challenges encountered in the consideration of petitions for removal of constitutional office holder, permit me to direct as follows with regard to the manner in which the committee shall conduct its hearings. 1. Upon receipt of the petitions, the committee shall adopt a timetable for its consideration of the petitions. 2. The committee shall transmit copies of the petitions to the affected commissioners and inform them of the time or times, date or dates, venue or venues that it intends to conduct its hearings over the petitions. In transmitting the petitions, the committee shall allow the affected petitioners at least 7 days to prepare for any hearing over the petitions. 3. The committee shall afford the affected commissioners the right to appear in person or through legal representatives and the right to cross-examine the petitioners under oath over all matters relating to the petition. Honourable members, can you take your seats? The nearest available seats. The nearest available seats. Honorable Mbande, this is not the nearest available free seat, is it? Honorable members, the committee shall afford the affected commissioners an opportunity to respond to the petitions either orally or in writing. The committee shall transmit copies of any additional documentation presented by the petitioners to the affected commissioners as soon as is practicably possible, and allow the commissioners an opportunity to respond to such additional documentation. The committee must refrain from prosecuting the petitions on behalf of the petitioners. Instead, it shall allow each petitioner to present their case and permit the affected commissioners to present their responses and thereafter consider whether a ground for removal has been disclosed or not. Honorable members, I therefore call upon the committee to hear both the petitioner and the affected commissioners with minimal interventions. The committee is to provide a forum for hearing the competing claims and not a forum for advancing the interests of either the petitioners or the affected commissioners. The committee must remain decorous at all times and civil towards all parties that appear before it. I would urge the committee to bore a leaf from the conduct of quasi-judicial proceedings, such as the one now referred to, from comparative parliamentary jurisdictions, including our very own Senate, whenever the Senate hears impeachment proceedings. The committee has 14 days within which to submit a report to the House as required under paragraph 4 of Standing Order 230. Further, honorable members, once the committee tables its report, the House will have 10 days to decide whether or not the petition contains valid grounds for removal of the members of the commission. Honorable members, cognizant of the multiple petitions referred to the committee and the fact that the petitions relate to 4 commissioners of the IEBC, the committee may, if it becomes necessary, seek an extension of the foregoing timelines to enable it to comprehensively interrogate the petitions and report to the House. I thank you. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. I came midway through your communication, and of course, given my experience in the House, I had not in any way.
It was not a communication.
Okay. A petition, yeah.
Yes.
You are
a presentation of a petition.
You are presenting a petition from members of the public, I presume,
yes,
to the House. Mr. Speaker, I only have one issue which I need your further guidance on. Just one issue. Mr. Speaker, it has been a tradition. Indeed, it is part of our rules. I hope you are getting me, Mr. Speaker. It has been a tradition.
Under Standing Order 226,
yes,
Honorable and I,
yes,
the members in the House are free to make comments and contributions to these petitions, okay, for 30 minutes.
Okay, okay.
I'll give each member 2 minutes. So
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. That now gives me even a better latitude to make my comments. Mr. Speaker, this is a house of rules, and indeed we pride ourselves as such. It has been tradition, and in fact, it has been part of our rules as provided for by the standing orders, that whenever petitions of whatever kind, petitions of whatever nature, be they petitions calling for removal from offices of commissioners, be they petitions concerning the welfare of members of the public out there, it has been our tradition that petitions touching on matters that are actively before courts are not entertained. In fact, this House has been very cautious, right from the time I joined it in 2013, not to entertain any petition of whatever kind, from whomsoever and from wherever, that will touch on issues which are active before court. The Speaker, I came midway through your statement, and I take note of one particular petition, one by Reverend Thumbi, if I'm not wrong. In his petition, among other things, he averts that the 4 commissioners were involved in convening of meetings to appoint legal representation against the rules of the commission. I think so. So, Speaker, as we speak, I don't know how much time I had. I'm seeing a yellow thing.
Your time is over.
No. Mr. Speaker, as we speak, the Deputy CEO of IBC, Madam Ruth Kulundo, is in court on, among other things, convening a meeting with the 4 commissioners to decide on legal representation. So this House will be contravening its own rules, and indeed the law generally, by entertaining a petition that is touching on issues that are actively before court. I don't see the urgency. We can wait for the court matter to be concluded. And
your time is order.
You know, order. when I am speaking low, and my friend Pukosa is heckling. There's no point of heckling. Just pay attention to what I'm saying. And I'm raising.
Order, honorable members. Now, the screen is full. I don't know if you want to contribute on this. On intervention. Robert Bukose. 2 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I first want to correct my colleague, Honorable Opio and I that I'm not heckling, and that is very wrong to make that improper motive against me, knowing very well his record that he's been suspended in this House in the past for gross misconduct. Honorable Speaker, when you look at the petition by Mr. Stephen Mutoro, I want to support that petition in view of the fact that governments must be accountable. And Mr. Mutoro brings a petition that 55 billion was spent in a period of 2 months. And I think this is a very worrying thing, that when the committee will be looking into that, the committee must be able to hold those accounting officers who signed and who participated in defrauding the country of the 55 billion. Secondly, on the other petitions by Reverend Dumbi, Geoffrey Langat, and Owor Jerry, on the removal of the 4 commissioners. The case that is in court is not about the removal of the 4 commissioners. It is about hiring of the lawyers. And I think the committee will be able to look at whether the matter is sub judice or not. And when a member claims a matter is sub judice, he should be able to present the documentation in the floor to show to that effect. Without that documentation, you cannot be able to cark the work of Parliament. I support.
The Honorable Gideon Ochanda.
Mr. Speaker, I want to do a comment on the issue of 223. What happens, Mr. Speaker, is the owners of this House to make right and approve budgets, the national budget of this country. And Article 223 gives the space within which the executive is able to use monies that are not yet approved by this House. Mr. Speaker, it's a contradiction in one way or the other, but more fundamentally, the amounts that are involved, particularly the amount that is involved in the petition, over 200 billion, is such a huge amount of money that if it is allowed under 2223, I think something must be done. Basically, the executive is taking over the role of making the budget from this House. And I want to believe, Mr. Speaker, that the House needs to be awake to this so that we either in one way or the other place limits within which this can be allowed, or on the other hand, do away with this Article 223 in wholesale. So, Mr. Speaker, if you don't want to be denied this chance of making the budget as this House, then we need to watch out the issue of Article 223. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Didimas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to support all the petitions as read by yourself, and most importantly, the petition by a Kenyan seeking to remove some commissioners for the reasons that have been properly laid down. And I want to say that all Kenyans have given powers by the Constitution to petition this House on anything as long as they raise matters of fact, Honorable Speaker. And I just want to defend my very good friend, Honorable Pio and I. I've heard some members of Parliament making noise to him. I just want to say that the Honorable Pio and I is justified. No, he is a member of a party that has a very clear history that today they can decide to remove him from office, so he's justified that the party did right to put him where he is. But on the second thing, Honorable Speaker, I support that petition, and
yes,
anybody...
Yes, Honorable Andai.
Mr. Speaker, it's not my nature to interrupt the debate or my colleagues on their floor. Mr. Speaker, is it in order for the Honorable Baraza to impute very improper motive, firstly on myself and secondly on my party, which has got nothing whatsoever to do with the matter before us, Mr. Speaker? Can you rule him out of order? And also to make him understand that whenever I stand here to speak, I speak on very serious issues. And I remain very objective, given my long experience in this House.
You made your point.
Thank you.
Honorable Didimas Wandai is not part of the petition.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Let me summarize my support, that we look forward to the hearings. We will be there to listen. We will write to the...
His time is up. Honorable Beatrice Elachi. He is already off the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker,
Given a floor to Elachi.
I just want to say this to this House today, that indeed, yes, these are Kenyans who have brought this petition. But more importantly, Mr. Speaker, you remember when we were in the Senate, this is an institution, as politicians, we have worked, we come, we decide how it moves, and then again, we will come every 5 years after elections. We always have issues with IEBC. But one of the things that I realized, we deal with commissioners, but we don't deal with the staff. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, as we look at the petitions, can we also now realign IEBC to go back to the independence that it had? And since the three are also coming out, so it means we shall have a clean slate. I don't want to say anything about that, as I know, yes, there are those who are in court. Let us look at the matters that are in court before also we go to the petition. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
What is out of order, Honorable Kajwang?
Mr. Speaker, there's an issue which we have dealt with, we struggled dealing with in the 13th Parliament, and it continues today. And you may want to make a considered ruling on this, how members dress in these chambers. It's a very concerning issue, because you have a speaker's manual on dress. Yes. And I do not have to, you are a member of this House for a long, long time, so you have this on your fingertips. If a member is dressed in a manner, which does not depict his religious persuasion, or which does not generally, which is
go on.
Yes, yeah, Mr. Speaker, like the member who just spoke a few minutes ago, without disclosing his name for the sake of his constituents, you may have to let us know if we can come with apparels which do not suggest our religious persuasion, other than the fact that we are male.
Of his apparel is
I want to request you, Mr. Speaker, because this has been very confusing. Somebody comes here with a headgear, another comes here with a headband, and it has been a big problem, Mr. Speaker. Is it in order that you can, at one point in time in your own discretion, look through the Speaker's manual and give us what should be the correct dressing in this House?
Thank you, Honorable TJ. I will do that. Honorable Gitonga
Murugara. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to speak on two issues. The first one is the sub judice rule, which has been alluded to. The Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs is very well averse with the sub judice.
That is not a matter before the House, so you need not belabor.
Thank you very much. The second one is that, as the Speaker has rightly observed, the committee is actually a quasi-judicial institute that is going to play the roles like that of the court, which means it's going to be an impartial umpire and listen to all the parties differently, so that each party is heard and given a fair chance to present and defend itself. Therefore, it did not worry the House as regards whether the House is going to prosecute or try to defend. The committee purely is quasi-judicial. It's going to hear the parties properly and then guide the House on what is to be done with these four petitions. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Millie Odhiambo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I just wish to indicate that I'm serving my 4th term. And I'd want to encourage this House to borrow from history. Once elections are done, the country moves on. So let us not get stuck at a point where we still want to feel like we are electioneering. Our side of the coalition went to court. The court ruled against us. We were told we were hot air, cold air, wild goose chase, tame goose chase. And we accepted and we moved on, Mr. Speaker. So I think actually this petition is in very bad taste. It's taking the country back. And I think what we need to do is let the commissioners go on with their work. The ones who are supposed to retire, let them retire honorably. Let the ones who want to continue with their work continue. Because even if you look at what the court ruled, there is nothing that untoward that was said about them, nothing illegal that they did. And so, Mr. Speaker, I just want to say, let the country realize that we are moving on. And let us stop getting stuck. Let us borrow from history and what has gone on in the past. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I see my time is up.
Kimani Ichung'wah.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And I wanted to raise first on a point of order to what the Honorable Millie Odhiambo was purporting, because I think we must appreciate that these two petitions are petitions by members of the public who have every right to petition the House, and consider these both petitions with the due diligence and justice, give justice unto them, Honorable Speaker. But Honorable Speaker, more profoundly is on the issue of the removal of the commissioners, Honorable Speaker, the petition by Reverend Thumbi. Honorable Speaker, I just want to beseech members, since this is a petition by a member of the public, the committee on JLAC, and Honorable Speaker, you've done well, you have guided the JLAC committee on how to conduct work in regard to that petition. We allow the committee to consider that petition, and I think it's just the first stage in such a process when you're dealing with constitutional commissions. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, I don't even want to say much on that. Honorable Speaker, on the petition by Mr. Stephen Mutoro of COFEC, Honorable Speaker, I really want to support this petition and note, Honorable Speaker, that indeed the previous regime committed close to 200 billion shillings out of the budget cycle. And this is something, Honorable Speaker, if we do not stop now, is going to portend a very bad precedent even for the current regime. And I really want to ask the Public Petitions Committee to take up this matter with gusto and address the issue of the abuse of Article 223 of the Constitution. Because many of the things, Honorable Speaker, that you find were committed to in the last days of the last regime are things that would have waited for the annual estimates this year and be considered, or even for a supplementary budget this year, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, I really want to support that petition by COFEC and encourage the public petitions to act very fast and get us to know the real details of what are these unseen things that the previous regime was so intent on spending public expenditure.
The Honorable Atandi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity. And Honorable Speaker, I want to comment on the petition by Stephen Mutoro on abuse of Article 223. Honorable Speaker, this article was well intended by the drafter of the new constitution. But, Honorable Speaker, this article has been abused extensively by the previous regimes. Honorable Speaker, the article is intended for responsive governance. And when there are emergencies and there's need for certain expenditures to be cut, this is when this article takes effect. But, Honorable Speaker, the trend has been that you see government huge infrastructural projects being commenced by way of this article. And I think this is something which we have discussed at Budget Committee, and we are asking you, Honorable Speaker, to help us so that in future, and especially in this term, we do not have situations where a huge project like Expressway being commenced by way of Article 223. It's very sad, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable Orero, Peter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would wish to comment on those items. One, the petition by Mutoro about the amount of money used, especially towards the electioneering period. This Article 223 had very good intention how it is supposed to be used, but I think all the governments, I hope not the one now that we have, they have always used this, their leeway to use the money that is not from within the budget. I concur with my fellow colleagues that any monies that must be used, they should be always within the budget. Now, about the commissioners, the petition by Dumbi, you realize that these are the commissioners which conducted the elections that just passed. However, I beseech this House that normally we don't resurrect emotions when the country is already moving on. Despite the fact that there are members' petitions, and despite the fact that this is the preliminary stages, and we are giving the J-like committee to go and look into them, give them the opportunity to be heard. But when it comes back to this House, I would wish that we look at these commissioners as those also who are engaged, and you realize that it was a very competitive election, that now that we are in the government, I want my fellow colleagues in the other divide of the House that we look at this in a manner that will make this country run and not go back.
Honorable Johanna Ngeno.
Thank you, Speaker. I used also to support the petitioners. Most importantly, Mr. Speaker, is on the matter of expenditure of money that may not have been appropriated by this House. Mr. Speaker, there is a tradition where most of the outgoing governments, either the national government or the county government, to use money in a very reckless way. Mr. Speaker, I think this has to come to a stop, and this petition will bring that one to a stop. And also not only expenditure of money, even employment of people at the time when the counties or the national government is coming to an end, or during the transitional period. Mr. Speaker, that one has to be stopped with immediate effect. Number two, Mr. Speaker, is on the question of removal of commissioners. Mr. Speaker, I'm in support of that. But most importantly, Mr. Speaker, I wish, as part of the contemplation in our looking into this matter, this question of recruiting the commissioners with the involvement of political parties. Mr. Speaker, we go to churches. We don't elect the bishops. We don't elect the pastors. But we keep on going to those churches on the selection of these commissioners. We need to have a commission that is non-partisan, that has nothing to do with parties, that has nothing to do with politics, that has nothing to do with contestants, so that they can be looking into this matter in a very fair way. Mr. Speaker, that is my submission.
Silvanos Osoro.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker.
Yes, the Honorable Millie, what is out of order? Give Honorable Millie the microphone. There you are.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for indulging me. And I do apologize for raising this point of order at this point, because our committee is sitting for vetting, so I have to actually leave. Mr. Speaker, we've just been served with a supplementary order paper, and my concern is that I've not seen Suba North in the approval of nominees to various constituency development fund committees. So I know it's coming. That's why I'm saying I was requesting that you indulge me now, because I have to leave. So that, Mr. Speaker, when it does come, if you could kindly consider it, Mr. Speaker, because we have multiple roles, and when that role will be coming, I currently have a role with the Defense Committee, but I cannot let the role of Suba North go because I'm in Defense Committee. So I'm just seeking your indulgence that when this comes up, if you could find out why, because we've already submitted the names, and it will be unfair for some constituencies to be considered and others are not. Thank you for indulging me.
Honorable Millie, the Honorable Mbadi is here. He will adequately represent you.
I have the floor, Honorable Speaker.
Yes.
I have the floor, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Osoro.
Honorable Speaker, I equally rise to support this petition. Honorable Speaker, this is a house of order, a house that follows rules. It is within the rights of every citizen to petition this house on any matter that arises. And it's not limited to anything that even touches on politicians. Anything that any public member feels to raise with this House is free to do so. And Honorable Speaker, while I support that, we need to relook at this whole thing about expenditure and abuse of Article 223 of the Constitution. Just as my colleagues have said, Honorable Speaker, it has become like a norm that any outgoing regime creates and finds a way to make money, drafts a system of possibly withdrawing money from the public coffers without checks and balances. If this thing is not relooked upon, because it's not only limited to the national government, it's something that is a national government, it's something that is in the county governments, it is something that is affecting the common mwananchi. And we must relook at this thing clearly. And of course, Honorable Speaker, nobody should feel or look at this whole petition from our political inclinations, because it has nothing to do with target. I mean, it's a public matter from an individual of this country. So, Honorable Speaker, we must support every petitioner and then listen to them as provided by, to give them fair hearing so that we are able to get to the bottom of this. So I rise to support. Thank you.
Kalasinga Majimbo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this time. Mr. Speaker, first, I want to comment on the petition of Stephen Mutoro, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when you look at that amount of money that was so misspent, Mr. Speaker, during the time some of us were in Senate, Mr. Speaker, we can now judge and know where that money must have been spent. We want the committee, Mr. Speaker, and the auditor general to do a clear report to us. Show us, Mr. Speaker, where and what projects were done with that money. Mr. Speaker, so that we can now know, sometimes to give a lesson, that in any case, any government is going to hand over to another one, or when we end, Mr. Speaker, the election cycle, we must have responsibility members, I mean, somebody to run the small of his office, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when you see the second petition that is talking about IEBC commissioners, Mr. Speaker, you can now see why, Mr. Speaker, some people are rushing, wanting to announce and declare some people as candidates, Mr. Speaker, for presidential when they know how much they have spent previously, 55 billion. So, Speaker, this is why I say, and I support, that never ever in this government should we have a handshake, Mr. Speaker. These are the proceeds of the handshake, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, we now go to the next petition. The member side, Buya from Galole.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to read petition number 003 of 2022 regarding the gazettement of Hola Irrigation Scheme land to allow for the expansion of the county headquarters of Tana River. I, the undersigned, on behalf of the residents of Galole, Tana River County, draw the attention of the House to the following. Number one, that Hola Irrigation Scheme in Tana River County was gazetted on the 26th April 1963 and covers an area approximately 12,630 acres. Number two, that the scheme was initially used as a settlement scheme to settle thousands of Mau Mau freedom fighters and the residents of Tana River in general in the 1960s. That the geographical location of Hola Irrigation Scheme at the heart of Hola Town has over the years proven to be disadvantageous to area residents in view of the fact that it continues to block the much needed expansion of Hola Town, which is the headquarters of Tana River County. That in a bid to address this long-standing challenge, officials of the national government and the county government of Tana River and the National Irrigation Authority, members of parliament, and the National Land Commission and other stakeholders met in Hola Town on the 15th of July 2021 and mutually agreed to degazette 2,000 acres in the southern eastern parts of the scheme to facilitate expansion of Hola Town. That the meeting further proposed extension of the scheme's northern borders by a similar acreage of 2,000 acres so as to compensate for the degazettement. That the proposed degazettement and replacement of the southeastern segment of the scheme will secure the expansion of Hola Town and Tana River County in general through economic, social, and infrastructural development that is presently hindered by the scheme's current location. That efforts to have the matter by the relevant authorities have not yielded any fruit, and that the issues in respect of which this petition is made are not pending before any court of law or other constitutional or legal body. Therefore, your humble petitioners pray that the National Assembly, through the Public Petition Committee, intervenes to facilitate timely degazettement of the 2,000 acres in the southern and eastern parts of Hola irrigation scheme to facilitate expansion of Hola town and to facilitate extension of the scheme's northern borders by similar acreage of 2,000 acres, and makes any other orders deemed defeat in the circumstances of this petition. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The petition is committed to the Public Petitions Committee. Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
Majority Leader.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Tuesday, November 15th, 2022. 1. The 5th and the 6th batch of nominees to 58 National Government Constituency Development Fund committees from the National Government Constituency Development Fund Board for the following constituencies. Number 1, Baringo North, Bomachoge Chache, Bomet Central, Chepalungu, Embakasi Central, Embakasi South, Kabuchai, Kajiado Central, Kigumo, Kiharu, Kikuyu, Kuria West, Lamu West, Matungu, Matungulu, Mumias West, Narok West, Nyaribari Chache, Samburu North, Samburu West, Shinyalu, Sigor, Sotik, Starehe, Turkana South, Uriri, Wajia West, Bomachoge Borabu, Bomet East, Borabu, Embakasi East, Mgwen, Fafi, Jem, Ogem, Ijara, Kimilili, Kisumu East, Kitui West, Kitutu Chache, Kitutu Masaba, Lari, Luanda, Lurambi, Malindi, Madare, Madera, Mbooni, Nambale, North Mugirango, Olkalau, Saku, Samburu East, Suba North, Tetu, Thika Town, Tigania West, Ugenya, and Westlands. Number 2, Honorable Speaker, the revised list of nominees for the following constituencies from the National Government Development Fund Board. 1 is Lamu East, Dadaab, and Kitui Central. Number 3, Honorable Speaker, the report of the Auditor General and financial statements of the Baringo Central constituency for the year ended 30th June 2021 and the certificate therein. Number 4, the report of the Auditor General and financial statements of the following constituencies for the year ended 30th June 2019 and the certificates therein. 1, Sotik. 2, Kacheliba. 3, Eldama Ravine, and 4, Ndaragwa. Number 5, Honorable Speaker, the reports of the Auditor General and the financial statements of the following constituencies for the year ended 30th June 2020 and the certificates therein. 1, Chepalungu. 2, Chesumei. 3, Teso North. 4, Sirisia. 5, Matungu, and Embakasi South. Number 6, Honorable Speaker, the report of the Auditor General and the financial statements of the Baringo Central constituency for the year ended 30th June 2021 and the certificates therein. And number 7, finally, Honorable Speaker, is the report of the Auditor General and the financial statements of the following institutions for the year ended 30th June 2021 and the certificates therein. A is Kathiani Water and Sanitation Company Limited. B, Jomo Kenyatta Foundation, Commission for University Education, Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentist Council, Kenya Medical Supplies Authority, KEMSA, Kenya Medical Laboratory Technicians and Technology Board, National AIDS Control Council, Egerton University, Machakos Technical Institute, National Transport and Safety Authority, Kenya Ordnance Factories Corporation, Revenue Accountability Statements, that is the Kenya Revenue Authority, and National Crime Research Center, and finally, the Tourism Regulatory Authority. I beg to lay the papers, Honorable Speaker.
Haven't you left out some? My list goes up to Q. Or your list is different from mine?
There was an element of review, but we possibly could proceed. Tharaka Technical and Vocational College, yes. University of Embu, and Tharaka University College.
Yes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Soro. The co-chair of IALA.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Tuesday, November 15th, 2022. The report of the Joint Select Committee on the election of members to East African Legislative Assembly.
Thank you. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
The Honorable Muya.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion that pursuant to the provision of Article 50 of the Treaty for the Establishment of East African Community and Rule 13.5 of East African Legislative Assembly elections of members of the Assembly, rule, this House adopts the report of the Joint Select Committee on the election of members to the East African Legislative Assembly on its consideration of the names and nomination papers of the duly nominated candidates for the election as members of East African Legislative Assembly, laid on the table of the House today, Tuesday, 15th November 2022. I beg to move.
You move, or is it a notice of motion, or you're moving a motion? It's a notice, so you don't move a notice.
Sorry, it's a notice of motion.
Thank you, thank you. You just end up there. Yes, next. Understanding orders at 3-1, the Honorable Deputy Speaker, you have a notice of motion? Go ahead. Give the notice.
Honorable Speaker, I rise under Standing Order number 33, seeking leave to move the adjournment of the House for the purpose of discussing a definite matter of urgent national importance regarding to an increase in the prevalence of chemical pesticides in the country. Honorable Speaker, during the 12th Parliament, I presented a petition in this House drawing its attention to the increase in the prevalence of chemical pesticides in Kenya, which poses a risk to the health to human health, but also not only to human health, but also to the environment and biodiversity. The respective committee tabled a report of the petition. However, the resolutions of this House are yet to be implemented. There is still prevalence of chemical pesticides in Kenya, which pose a risk not only to human health, but also to our biodiversity. These products were classified as follows: 24 products that cause cancer, 24 products that are mutagenic, 35 products that cause endocrine disruption, 140 products that are neurotoxic, and they are causing brain damage in children, 262 other products that show clear effects on reproduction, toxicity, and are carcinogenic. Honorable Speaker, concerned that about 76% of the total volume of the pesticides used in Kenya have one or more active ingredients that are categorized as highly hazardous pesticides. noting that these highly hazardous pesticides are a global human rights concern, endangering inter alia the rights to food, health, as well as clean, healthy environment, and are regulated by international policy instruments to which Kenya is a state party with direct operational implications in the pesticide management. Honorable Speaker, about 44% of the total volume of pesticides used in Kenya are not allowed for use in Europe and other jurisdictions, but by some unexplainable double standards are still allowed and permitted in Kenya. In fact, these pesticides that I have pointed out have been banned in America and Europe, but their laws still allow them to manufacture them for export to countries that are ignorant enough and foolish enough to accept these products into our country. And that responsibility, Honorable Speaker, falls on the Pest Products Control Board, who have failed to undertake their due diligence and to protect the lives of Kenyans. This amounts to criminal negligence on the part of the Pest Products Control Board. In the United States of America, the Superior Court of California awarded a farmer $250 million as damages for developing cancer as a result of the repeated exposure to Roundup herbicide, which is manufactured by Monsanto. The same product is available in Kenya, approved by the Pesticide Control Board. The court found that Monsanto did not make information on the dangers of the pesticides available to the public. The same Roundup is found in agrovets across the country.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, you've made your point. You are seeking to have a motion of adjournment.
Yes.
And the points you are making will come when you move the motion.
Okay. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
You need 20 members to stand in your support. Honorable members, we have enough numbers, and I direct that 1 hour to the end of the sitting, the Deputy Speaker will be given time to move this motion, and then members will, she was giving notice. And for those who are not following, like the Honorable Mbadi, she's protesting the influx of harmful pesticides in our country, some coming from countries where they're manufactured, but their use in those countries is banned, but are dumped in Kenya. All right, now you are clear. So 1 hour to the end of the sitting, the Honorable Deputy Speaker, you'll move that motion, and it will be debated by the House. Next.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
Questions? Yes, clerk. Yes, the Honorable Wangari.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to ask question number 001 of 2022 under private notice to the Cabinet Secretary of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs. Number 1, what is the status of investigations into the death of Ms. Miriam Hanan Njeri of passport number BK151060, a resident of Gilgil Sub-County that occurred in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia on 19th August 2022. Number 2, what steps have the government taken to facilitate the family to bringing back the remains of the 26-year-old Kenyan for a befitting send-off? Number 3, could the Cabinet Secretary state the measures the government has put in place to ensure the welfare of Kenyans working abroad, especially in Saudi Arabia? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Wangari. Yes, the Honorable Wandai.
Mr. Speaker, even as we proceed with the question and statement session, I wanted to bring to your attention that last week on Thursday, I did raise an issue here. And the issue was about the NGCDF. I've just been in quiet consultation with my colleague, the Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, a while back. And what he's telling me is really discomforting. So I wanted you to, before we proceed to the rest of the questions and possible statements, that we dispense of this very, very critical and urgent matter of the statement by the Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah on the grave issue of NGCDF.
Thank you.
Yes.
Honorable Ichung'wah, I had given you
Yes.
time to bring a statement. Are you ready with it?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I had indeed indicated to the Honorable Pio and I that you had given directions, and I was hoping you'd get to it. Honorable Speaker, I have engaged with the CS National Treasury.
I haven't given you the floor. I just asked, are you ready with the statement?
I am not ready with the statement yet.
If you are not ready, can you do so tomorrow, 2:30?
In fact, Honorable Speaker, I wanted to request for your indulgence.
Yes.
We do this either tomorrow or Thursday, if it's possible.
Thursday,
So that
we have EL elections.
and I can push the CS then to finish, because he had given a sketchy statement that I told him I was not comfortable.
I'll give you tomorrow,
afternoon. Tomorrow.
Thank you. The Honorable Samuel Atandi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I asked to ask question number 2 in today's order paper, and my question is by private notice. The question is directed to the National Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury and Economic Planning. Number 1, could the Cabinet Secretary avail the evaluation report with regard to the acquisition of Spar Bank Limited, indicating the individual or company that conducted it, if any, and state the amount that was paid at the point of being acquired by the Mwalimu National Sacco? Number 2, could the Cabinet Secretary state when approval was granted for the assets and liabilities purchase agreement between Spar Bank and Equity Bank? Number 3, could the Cabinet Secretary further explain the status of the bank's board membership and state whether it was legally constituted to conduct business, considering that the managing director and the other 3 board members had earlier resigned? Number 4, could the Cabinet Secretary clarify whether the Central Bank of Kenya carried out mitigation measures through funding of Mwalimu Sacco to meet the liquidation costs? And if yes, at what cost, and why the preference instead of funding the Spar Bank? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The next question will go to the member of Mwingi Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to ask question number 3 of 2022 to the Cabinet Secretary for East African Community, the ASAOS, and the Regional Development. Number 1, considering that Kitui County and particularly Mwingi Central constituency has been experiencing prolonged drought over the last 1 year, what action is the ministry taking to ensure adequate relief food supplies to the drought-stricken residents? Number 2, what measures has the ministry put in place to ensure adequate food supplies are filled under the school feeding program for both primary and secondary schools in the constituency to ensure learning goes on uninterrupted? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. To be replied before the Departmental Committee on Regional Development. The next question will go to the member for Njoro, Honorable Charity Chepkwony. I'll give it to the end of the session. The next question will go to the Honorable Rueda Obo, member for Lamu East.
Thank you, B. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to ask question 002 to the Cabinet Secretary for Road and Transport. 1. Could the Cabinet Secretary outline the government policy measure being undertaken to develop marine transport in the country, and particularly in Lamu County? 2. What immediate plan has the ministry put in place to provide modern marine transport facilities, such as ferries, among others, to Lamu residents and tourists? 3. What policy measures are in place to facilitate private enterprises to develop marine transport facilities in the country and in Lamu County in particular? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Member. That question will be replied before the Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure. The next question will go to the member for Kabuchai, Honourable Majimbo Kalasinga. If he's not in the House, the next question will go to the member for Yatta, Honourable Robert Basil.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I raise to ask question 004 of 2022 to the Cabinet Secretary for Lands. Question number 1, could the Cabinet Secretary state the number of persons classified as landless and commonly referred to as squatters in Yatta constituency? Question number 2, what measures has the ministry put in place to ensure that all squatters across the country, and in particular in Yatta constituency, are resettled, and state by when this will be done, including when they shall be issued with title deeds? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. That will be replied before the Departmental Committee on Lands. The next question will go to the member for Machakos County, Honorable Joyce Kamene. If the member is not in the House, the next question will go to the member for Kangema, Honorable Peter Kehongi.
Okay, thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to ask a question number 006, 2022, to the Cabinet for Agriculture and Livestock. Could the Cabinet Secretary outline the various taxes charged in the tea subsector, and in particular, those directly affect tea farmers? What policy measures has the ministry put in place to reduce various taxes imposed on farmers and other stakeholders in the tea subsector? Number 3, could the Cabinet Secretary explain the steps that the ministry will take towards ensuring the reduction of said levies, particularly those affecting tea farmers? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. That question will be replied before the Departmental Committee on Agriculture and Livestock. I will give a second opportunity to Honorable Charity Chepkwony, if she's in the House, and Honorable Joyce Kamene, if she's in the House. If not, honorable members, allow me to recognize Mokoma Ngoge, a poet and a writer and academic, associate professor of literature at Cornell University, and son of the renowned Kenyan writer Ngoge wa Thiong'o, seated in the public gallery. On my own behalf and of the House, we welcome you to observe the proceedings of the House. Next order. Before we go to the next order, Honorable Caleb Amisi, your Your statement had been approved by the Speaker. Please.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 44.2c, I wish to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Affairs regarding the deteriorating state of security in the country. Madam Speaker, recent events unfolding in different parts of the country show that insecurity has increased. Incidences of robbery with violence, mugging, assaults, and the tragic loss of lives being witnessed have spread fear, panic, and apprehension all over the country, especially in urban areas. Concerns have emerged on efficiency, capacity, and operations of the National Police Service in carrying out their mandate, especially that of ensuring the security of its citizens. Criminal activities have increased with declining performance of the national economy, and people in general have little confidence in the effectiveness of the law enforcement efforts in controlling the rampant crime. Kenyans no longer feel safe to move about freely within the central business district of Nairobi and other urban cities. Madam Speaker, it is expected that with the recent appointment of the Inspector General of Police, long-standing measures will be instituted to curb the crime situation. Madam Speaker, it is against this background that I seek a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Affairs on the following. Number one, could the chairperson explain what measures have been put in place to cope with the rising state of insecurity within Nairobi and in the country? Number two, whether the officers working to curb crime are adequately facilitated. Number three, what measures has the Ministry of Interior and National Administration taken to ensure the number of officers within Nairobi County and its environs is commensurate to the population? Number four, what measures have the Ministry of Interior and the National Administration put in place to alleviate the psychological effects caused by the enduring burden of stress to those who have lost loved ones on crime? And lastly, what strategies have been put in place by the Ministry of Interior and National Administration to address the increasing insecurity in the rural areas, including the rampant cattle rustling in the northern parts of the country? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. This statement will go to the chair, the Committee on Administration and Internal Affairs. I don't know how long you'll need. Where is the chair? Vice or a member to undertake? If there is no member in the House, the leader of majority, Honorable Protas, is that Honorable Protas? Are you a member? Give Honorable Protas the microphone.
Yes, Madam Speaker. I'm a member of that committee.
What did you say?
Madam Speaker will respond in 2 weeks.
2 weeks' time. That is good. That will be taken in 2 weeks. The next chance I will indulge honorable members, because I know we are also doing a lot of vetting activities in the committee. So this question, I'll give the final chance to Honorable Chepkonyi of Njoro.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for granting me this opportunity to ask my question. And my sincere apologies, we are vetting today for our PSs. Allow me to ask my question, Madam Speaker, which is 001-2022. Could the Cabinet Secretary state when the government will lift the moratorium on issuance of title deeds in Nakuru, Kericho, Bomet, Narok counties, and specifically Njoro constituency? What steps is the ministry taking to fast track the issuance of title deeds in Mount Narok, Mauche, Naiswet, Njoro, Lare, Kingo wards, in Ijoro constituency. Madam Speaker, thank you, though I have seen they forgot to put one of my questions.
Honorable Member, the question is as approved. This question will be replied before the Departmental Committee on Lands. The next statement will go to the Deputy Speaker. To the Deputy Speaker, Honorable Gladys Bose.
Stand pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order number 179-14, I rise to notify the House by way of statement that the duly elected chairperson and vice chairpersons of committees following the recent elections of committees of the House. Honorable Speaker, on Thursday, the 27th October 2022, the House adopted the report of the Committee on Selection and on Placement of Members to committees of the House. Consequently, and pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 179, committees conducted and concluded elections of chairpersons and vice chairpersons upon their constitution within the 7-day period as approved by the Speaker. In this regard, Honorable Speaker, I wish to notify the House that all the departmental committees, audit and appropriations and other select committees have elected leadership as follows. Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Affairs. Chairperson, the Honorable Gabriel Koshal Tongoya, MP. Vice Chairperson, the Honorable Dido Ali Raso, MP. The Departmental Committee on Agriculture and Livestock. Chairperson is the Honorable John Mutunga Kinyudia, MP. The Vice Chairperson is the Honorable Leonard Brighton Yegon, MP. 3, Departmental Committee on Blue Economy and Irrigation. The chairperson is the Honorable Kangogo Bowen, MP, and the vice chairperson is the Honorable Marwa Kitayama Maisori, MP. 4, Departmental Committee on Communication and Information and Innovation. The chairperson is the Honorable John Kiare Waweru, MP. The vice chairperson is the Honorable Alpha Ondieki Miruka, MP. 5, Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations. The chairperson is the Honorable Nelson Koech, MP. The vice chairperson is the Honorable Major Retired Bashir Abdullahi, MP. 6, the Departmental Committee on Education. The vice chairperson is the Honorable Julius Kibiwot Meli, MP. And the vice chairperson is the Honorable Moses Malulu Ijendi, MP. 7, the Departmental Committee on Energy. The chairperson is the Honorable Vincent Musioka. The vice chairperson is the Honorable Aramat Lemanken, MP. 8, the Departmental Committee on Environment, Forestry and Mining. The chairperson is the Honorable David Gikaria, MP. And the vice chairperson is the Honorable Charles Kamuren, MP. 9, the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning. The chairperson is the Honorable CPA Francis Kuria Kimani, MP, and the vice chairperson is the Honorable Ambassador Benjamin Kipkurui Lagat, MP. 10, the Departmental Committee on Health. The chairperson is the Honorable Dr. Robert Pukose, MP, and the vice chairperson is the Honorable Patrick Munene Ndwiga, MP. 11, the Departmental Committee on Housing, Urban Planning and Public Works. The chairperson is the Honorable Johanna Ngeno Kibiegon, MP, and the vice chairperson is the Honorable Murwidhania Rindikiri, MP. 12, the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs. The chairperson is the Honorable George Gitonga Murugara, MP. The vice chairperson is the Honorable Ikomas Mwengi Mutuse, MP. 13, the Departmental Committee on Labor. The chairperson is the Honorable Eric Muchangi Njiru, MP. The vice chairperson is the Honorable Fabian Mule Kule, MP. 14, the Departmental Committee on Lands. The chairperson is the Honorable Joash Nyamoko, MP, and the vice chairperson is the Honorable Jane Kihara, MP. 15, the Departmental Committee on Regional Development. The chairperson is the Honorable Peter Lachakapong, MP, The vice chairperson is the Honorable Mary Wanjoroge Wamaua MP. The Departmental Committee on Social Protection, the chairperson is the Honorable Alice Wamboi Nganga, MP. The vice chairperson is the Honorable Hilary Kiplagat Kosgei, MP. 17, the Departmental Committee on Sports and Culture, the chairperson is the Honorable Daniel Sitati Wanyama, MP, and the vice chairperson is the Honorable James Gidhua Wamashukuru, MP. 18, the Departmental Committee on Tourism and Wildlife, the chairperson is the Honorable Jafeth Kareka Mbiku, CBS MP, and the vice chairperson is the Honorable John Juguna Wanjiko, MP. 19, the Departmental Committee on Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, the chairperson is the Honorable James Gakuya Mwangi, MP. The vice chairperson is the Honorable Marianne Chebet Keitany, MP. 20, the Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure, the chairperson is the Honorable G.K. George Kariuki, MP. The vice chairperson is the Honorable Didimas Wekesa Baraza, MP. 21, Public Accounts Committee, the chairperson is the Honorable John Buddy, CBS, MP. And the vice chairperson, I stand corrected. I'll repeat. 21, Public Accounts Committee, the chairperson is the Honorable John Mbadi, EGH, MP. The vice chairperson is the Honorable Nicholas Scott Tindi Mwale, MP. 22, Special Funds Accounts Committee. The chairperson is the Honorable Fatuma Z. Mohammed, MP. The vice chairperson is the Honorable Abdul Rahim Dawood, HSC, MP. 23, the Committee on Delegated Legislation. The chairperson is the Honorable Samuel Chepkonga, MP. And the vice chairperson is the Honorable Gishimu Gidinji, MP. 24, the National Government Constituencies Development Fund Committee, the chairperson is the Honorable Musa Sirma, MP. The vice chairperson is the Honorable Kasim Sawa Tandaza, MP. 25, the Constitutional Implementation Oversight Committee, the chairperson is the Honorable Gadoni Wamoshomba, MP. And the vice chairperson is the Honorable William Kamket, MP. 26, the Committee on Implementation. The chairperson is the Honorable Raphael B.S. Wanjala, MP, and the vice chairperson is the Honorable Rose Museo Mumo, MP. 27, Diaspora Affairs and Migrant Workers Committee. The chairperson is the Honorable Haika Lydia Mzigi, MP, and the vice chairperson is the Honorable Simon Kingara, MP. 28, Committee on Regional Integration. The chairperson is the Honorable Wanjiko Muhia, MP. The vice chairperson is the Honorable Sala Yakub Farah, MP. 29, Member Services and Facilities Committee. The chairperson is the Honorable Stephen Karani, MP. And the vice chairperson is the Honorable Faisal Badar Salim, MP. 30, the Committee on Parliamentary Broadcasting and Library. The chairperson is the Honorable Daniel Ipuyu Nanok, MP. And the vice chairperson is the Honorable Kiragu Shege, MP. 31, Budget and Appropriations Committee. The chairperson is the Honorable Ndidi Nyoro, MP. The vice chairperson is the Honorable Mary Emase, MP. 32, Committee on Public Petitions. The chairperson is the Honorable Nimrod Mbai, MP. The vice chairperson is the Honorable Janet Sitiene, MP. Public Investments Committee on Governance and Education. The chairperson is the Honorable Jack Wamboka, MP, and the vice chairperson is the Honorable Naisula Lesuda, MP. 34, the Public Investments Committee on Commercial Affairs and Energy. The chairperson is the Honorable David Kosing, MP. The vice chairperson is the Honorable Lillian Gogo, MP. 35, Public Investments Committee on Social Services and Administration and Agriculture. The chairperson is the Honorable Emmanuel Wangwe, MP, and the vice chairperson is the Honorable Caleb Hamisi, MP. 36, the Decentralized Funds Accounts Committee. The chairperson is the Honorable Gideon Mulyungi, MP, and the Vice Chairperson is the Honorable Gertrude Bayu, MP. 37, the Committee on National Cohesion and Equal Opportunity, the Chairperson is the Honorable Adan Yusuf Haji, MP. The Vice Chairperson is the Honorable Liza Chelule Chepkorir, MP. 38, the Public Debt and Privatization Committee, the Chairperson is the Honorable Omar Shure, MP, and the Vice Chairperson is the Honorable the Honorable Dr. Makali Mulu, MP. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, the House is aware of the immense responsibilities bestowed on the Speaker of the National Assembly and the Chairperson of the Parliamentary Service Commission, the Chairperson of the House Business Committee, the Chairperson of the Committee on Appointments, the Chairperson of the Powers and Privileges Committee, and the Chairperson of the Procedure and House Rules Committee, among many other duties. In this regard, the Liaison Committee is therefore requesting, with your kind permission, to designate the following honorable members to represent the Speaker during the meetings of the Liaison Committee. 1, the Honorable Omboko Malemba, MP, to represent the House Business Committee. 2, the Honorable Farah Maalim, to represent the Speaker in the Powers and Privileges Committee. 3, the Honorable Martha Wangari, MP, to represent the Speaker in the Procedure and House Rules Committee. In this regard, Honorable Speaker, your office, the Office of the Speaker will on regular and continuous basis be appraised on all the undertakings of the respective committees. Finally, Honorable Speaker, may I take this opportunity to congratulate all the honorable members who have been elected and vested with the responsibilities of being chairpersons and vice chairpersons of committees in this National Assembly. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, the Deputy Speaker. Honorable members, allow me to recognize the presence of Turi Secondary School students from Molo, Nakuru, seated in the public gallery. On behalf of myself and the House, you're welcome to observe the proceedings of the House. What is out of order, Honorable Mbadi?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I appreciate the communication from the Deputy Speaker, who is also supposed to lead Liaison Committee. But I was expecting to hear from her when the Liaison Committee is going to conduct induction so that we can start work. When we wanted to start our activities as a committee, we were advised that there will be need for the Liaison Committee first to have a meeting or an induction for those members who have never been chairs or who have no experience in some of these activities, that some chairs who are coming in for the first time in their entire life as chairs, some are even the first term members of Parliament. So when is this going to happen so that we can start work as committees? Thank you.
Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Honorable Speaker, I appreciate the question that has been asked by Honorable Mbadi, MP, EGH. I think I wish to confirm that the Liaison Committee shall be meeting starting tomorrow at 11:30. We will be meeting every Wednesday, but our inaugural meeting will be tomorrow, Wednesday at 11:30, and then thereafter we shall plan the inductions and preparations for the work ahead. Thank you.
And honorable members, those in the Liaison Committee, we already have administrative communication channels for the meetings that can be done even after here. The next statement will be done on behalf of Honorable Owen Bayer, and it will be done by Honorable Paul Katana Kahindi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. A request for statement regarding disbursement of National Government Constituency Development Fund. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 44.2C, I would like to request a statement from the Chairperson of the Departmental Committee on National Government Constituency Development Fund regarding the disbursement of constituency development funds by the Ministry of National Treasury. Honorable Speaker, the Constituency Development Fund positively impacts the constituents by ironing out the regional imbalances to achieve rapid socio-economic development at the constituency level. Whereas the Supreme Court of Kenya pronounced its judgment on 8th of August 2022, declaring the Constituency Development Act of 2013 as unconstitutional. It is imperative to note that the pronouncement does not affect the National Government Constituency Development Fund Act of 2015. The National Treasury is yet to disburse funds as approved by the National Government Constituency Development Fund Board for bursaries, allocation, and development of the constituencies as mandated in the National Government Constituency Development Fund Act of 2015. In this regard, the National Treasury should note that the NGCDF Act of 2015 remain in force. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I seek a statement from the chairperson of the National Committee on National Government and Constituency Development Fund as follows. Could the chairperson explain when the Minister of National Treasury intends to disburse the funds on the constituencies? 2, could the chairperson further establish how much of the Constituency Development Fund's budget is still unused in the National Treasury? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. This question will be going to the Committee on NGCDF. The Chairman, Honorable Musa Sirma, how long?
Madam Speaker, I think amongst the issues raised by the questioner will be answered by the majority leader as per the direction of the Speaker, and other issues possibly in the next 1 week.
Order, Member. You are the Chairman, NGCDF Committee. This
Yes.
statement is properly on the floor. How long will you require to answer that question?
Just 1 week.
1 week is the commitment from the Chair. Next order.
Order number 8, procedural motion, resolution to hold a Thursday morning sitting.
Leader of Majority.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move the motion that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 33B, this House resolves to hold a morning sitting on Thursday, November 17, 2022, commencing at 10 a.m. for purposes of conducting the election of members to the East African Legislative Assembly. Honorable Speaker, I think this is a no-brainer motion. And I hear the Honorable Junaid saying he's tired. I'm sure he thought it was an extension of time today. But it's a procedural motion for to have a morning sitting when the Honorable Junaid is fresh in the morning. And we'll not begin very early. We'll begin at 10 a.m. This, as indicated after tabling of the report by the chair of the Committee on IALA, the Honorable Anjiko Muhia, we expect to hold our elections for IALA members on Thursday. And it was in the opinion of the House Business Committee that Thursday afternoon may not be enough because you realize in case there is a rerun, we may not have time to vote for all those members, and considering that it's the last day that we had in terms of the IALA calendar. So we will need to be here at 10 so that we can conduct elections up to late afternoon. And with those very few remarks, I beg to ask the Deputy Whip, Honorable Naomi Wako, to second.
Madam Speaker, I second. Thank you.
Order, members. I then propose that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 33B, this House resolves to hold a morning sitting on Thursday, November 17th, 2022, commencing at 10 a.m. for purposes of conducting the election of members to the East African Legislative Assembly. Is that the mood of the House? That I put the question? I put the question. As many as are of that opinion say aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion say nay. No. The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 9, motion, approval of nominees to various constituency development fund committees.
Madam Speaker, I rise to move the motion on the Constituency Development Fund committees. And before that, Madam Speaker, I would like to thank the people of Eldama Ravine for having voted me back after being out for 10 years. And I'm here again working for them very strongly. I want to appreciate the fact that it is not lost until you find it again and have a good finish. Madam Speaker, today I'm moving this motion pursuant to Section 50.05 of the National Government Constituency Development Fund and GCDF Act of 2015. The Select Committee on the National Government Constituency Development Fund of the National Assembly is mandated to consider and report to the National Assembly with recommendations. I'm moving the right now. Just 1 minute. Yeah, persons required to be approved by the National Assembly under this Act. Madam Speaker, that pursuant to provisions of Section 43.4 of the National Government Constituency Development Fund Act 2015 and paragraphs 5.2 and 10 of the National Government Constituency Development Fund Regulations 2016, this House approves the list of nominees for appointment to the following 124 constituencies, committees of the National Government Constituency Development Fund laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 10th, 2022. November 10th, 2022. Madam Speaker, I wish to confirm that we have received 124 constituencies, and also we shall be tabling some later tomorrow. But I want to urge the members who have not submitted to do so. Junet, you'll get your money. Yes, we are now going only to debate on this issue of 124. The others will follow, because I know many members are not yet into this list. Madam Speaker, we would like to, on my behalf.
Honorable Tindi Mwale, what is out of order?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise on a point of order because the chair has indicated that we have members who have not submitted. Yet we have members who have submitted, and yet the names have not come to this House to be tabled. Which criteria are you using to bring the names? Do we have batches of names, or are we going short of the printing papers? Why is it that some old and greatest constituencies,
Honorable Mwale.
like Butere, have not been tabled?
Order, member. The chair will continue to move the motion. We will have the chance to debate the motion. Those who have issues will raise it, and will raise their issues as they come. So please, go on.
Madam Speaker, I'm moving this motion based on the 124 names, because there are others which we are still going to, which are under process. 70 and 31 will be laid on the floor of the House tomorrow. And I want to assure Madam Speaker.
What is out of order, Dr. Pukose?
You know, Madam Speaker, Honorable Sirma has partially moved the motion as per our standing orders. once he's moved to the last, giving us the as laid on the order, as laid on the table on the date, there are constituencies which have been listed. If he wanted to shorten it out, he should say as per the order paper. Yes. But now he's starting to debate the constituencies and starting talking of other constituencies which have not even been put on the order paper, which is unprocedural. So he has to make it very clear.
Thank you, Dr. Pukose. Honorable Chair, Honorable Musa Sirma, please move the motion as it is on the order paper and quote the 124 that are in the order paper.
Madam Speaker, I have already mentioned that I am talking about the 124 which have been laid. Even today, the majority leader has already tabled 70.
Order, member, Honorable Chair, please just hear us.
Yes.
You move the motion as is.
I know.
I know. You move the motion as it is. Yeah.
I've done it. I have read.
So don't tell us about the 70, the 124.
I have already moved the motion, Madam Speaker. They have other issues they are looking for. But, Madam Speaker, let me repeat so that they can listen. If you are not listening, listen now. That pursuant to the provisions of Section 43(4) of the National Government Constituency Development Fund Act 2015 and paragraph 5(2) and 10 of the National Government Constituency Development Fund Regulations 2016, this House approves the list of nominees for appointment to the following 124 constituencies of the National Government Constituency Development Fund laid on the table of the House on Thursday, November 10, 2022, as appended in today's order paper, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker.
Please continue. Now it's in order.
It is, Madam Speaker, what I would like to urge the members is to hasten their fund managers and the relevant committees in their constituencies to bring the balance of the names or the names from their constituencies so that we may be able to move very fast together. Madam Speaker, I know there are some members who are still, who have submitted, but still their names have not been part of the 124. But I want to urge that by the end of tomorrow, they will be happy because everything will be done. And Madam, I would like to ask the House to approve the list of nominees of 124 constituencies for appointment and gazettement by the board as the National Government Constituency Development Fund committee members in the respective constituencies. I would like to ask Honorable Ochanda MP Bondo, who is a member of my committee, to second.
Honorable Ochanda.
Okay, thank you, Madam Speaker. Now, as I rise to second this, Madam Speaker, let me make a few things straight. Number one, we are having these names here in batches because they were submitted in different times to the board. That's the first reason why these names are here in batches. So the first that are cleared by the board so far are 124. When names are submitted from the constituencies, there are criteria that are used. If you don't follow those criteria, chances are that there's back and forth between your fund account manager and the board. For example, if you don't nominate, if in the committee there is no disabled, you realize that delays a
what is out of order?
Point of order, Madam Speaker. Is the member supposed to, first of all, second, then debate? Because he has started debating and defending before seconding. And procedural. Yeah.
Okay. Madam Speaker, you may want to guide this because I'm going to second even at the end of it. I'll be saying I second. So
he's making his comments, but he'll second at the end. Yeah.
I'm saying before I second, that was my first statement, there are these things that I want to make clear. And then I'll second in the end. So Madam Speaker, what I'm trying to make clear is this, that it is us, and that's exactly what my chair is talking about. It is us members that needs to hasten the process, because the constituency, the board here in Nairobi